Here it is, man. Day 2, but it better be better than day 1 of the Moneyline Madmen. I tell you, the San Francisco Giants just kind of kicking us both in the shins yesterday.
Yeah, we learned 2 lessons. One, Giants were on a 3-game losing streak as it was, so they probably weren't the team to back, even though they were playing Arizona. And the other is we don't talk about our picks before the show. Let's not never pick the same team again.
Well, hopefully going forward, when we pick the same team again, we'll be on the same side of it in terms of, at least on opposite sides. We'll pick the same team, one to win and one to lose. That way, one of us is going to be right. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the basketball game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks and how it was somewhat unpredictable or unbettable in some ways because of the absence of Giannis and the unknown of Trey. And then, of course, just like Atlanta did the game before, Trey was out. They came out and kicked the daylights out of the Bucks. No Giannis, no problem. Bucks make easy work of the Hawks.
Yeah, and it's one thing we learn, and I still fall for it, and I'm sure every bettor still falls for it, the overreaction. We saw how good Atlanta played without Trae Young, so we thought they'd do it again. We didn't know how the Bucks would play without Giannis. Well, they played fine. They just played a different style. They played more run and gun.
Well, we didn't really do anything wrong there because we both avoided the situation altogether. So, you know, it's only it's not money lost until you put your money down and then the team comes home and doesn't cover. Then it's money lost. Until then, it's just shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, but a lesson as a bettor just to pay attention to is when the public really overreacts one way, go the other way. I know we've had conversations before and you've said a player ain't worth more than, no matter how good the player is, it's not worth more than, 2 points. So,
right. Well, like yesterday is an example. The line only moved from 5.5 from Milwaukee minus 5.5 to -3. So Vegas says Giannis is only worth 2.5 points. So is he really worth a max contract?
Yeah, and I would doubt either one plays again going forward. Trae Young, he tried to warm up and did not look good. And I really doubt Giannis would play. If anything, Giannis comes back. Well, he might both come back game 7. So
maybe. So did you see, and this is something we didn't talk about beforehand, so this is just going to be kind of a curveball, but Dennis Schrader, what does he want, like $110 to $120 million?
Yeah, he's not. I'll say he's not getting it, but there's always that one team that they'll throw somebody like that a lot of money to get. And
$110 to $120 million. Man.
Yeah.
To be where would you say he is in terms of guards? If there's 64 guards that start, would you put him in the upper half?
No. I mean, he's one of the better guards coming off the bench, but I wouldn't even consider him a starter.
Yeah, Magic wasn't too. He's not a Laker. I think was Magic's. Magic's. What I think that was his quote, right? He's not a Laker, but in any case, so let's get talking about some of the action that's going to be on the docket tonight. And first up, we'll start with the NHL Stanley Cup. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking their game up to Montreal to play the Canadiens. The first game? It's just the first game since like 2007 or something. Where's a Stanley Cup game in Canada? That's their sport, man. What's going on there?
Yeah, and they're going to be fired up tonight. I'm just not sure. Tampa Bay is just far and above the best. Before the series, I predicted them to either sweep or win in 5. So this might be the game Montreal gets with the crowd and everything else. So going nuts. They have to have it. So
sure, they have to have it. Well, yeah, it looks like a little more than half of the public is on the Canadiens, but a big majority of the money. So the Canadiens look like according to the definition, they're the trap bet tonight because a lot of people are thinking like you.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't touch it either way. I'm sitting on my fact that Tampa's going to either sweep or win in 5. If they do that, I'll make some money. As far as touching the game tonight, I'm not touching it. There's a player out for Tampa Bay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, if it's not the goalie, it doesn't matter. The only position in hockey that matters is goalie. And I know everybody says, and you said quarterback in the NFL is the most important position. It's not even close. The goalie in hockey is the single most important position in any sport. you can see a team absolutely dominate another team. I can't tell you how many times I've been on the wrong side of a bet where a goalie stops 52 of 53 shots. The other team, the goalie lets in 2 of 10, and you lose, even though your team got absolutely dominated. There's nothing a quarterback can do that's anywhere close to that equivalent in the game.
To help your argument, Montreal's goalie has been absolutely outstanding, and that's why they are where they are right now. So
Carey Price, he's a really good goalie. But I do think the guy who minds the net for Tampa Bay is, he's probably the best or second best goalie in the NHL.
So there's your argument. You got the two best going right now in the Stanley Cup. So,
well, you want to touch it. I said it's a sucker's bet or the trap. Well, I guess I'm going to step right into it. That's going to be my plus line for the play for the day. And it has, well, there are numbers behind it. First of all, the way I do power rankings, Montreal has a very slight advantage as a home team power ranking versus the away power ranking for the Lightning. And they also have a very slight goal differential advantage at home versus the Lightning's goal differential on the road. The game works out to a 50-50 game in terms of who's going to win and who's going to lose. So I'm getting plus 114. I'm getting 14 cents value, but I'm working under this assumption. The Canadians are not going to get swept. They're going to win one of these two games at home. It's a 50-50. If they win tonight, that's it. I'm done with the Canadians. If they lose tonight, I suspect 2 nights from now, there'll be a plus line again. I'll take them that. And if I hit 1 out of 2, I'll turn a profit. I'll be happy about that, and I'll probably be done. Well, I mean, you got to take Tampa Bay at home, but you're going to get like a minus 220 line. Even if you puck line them, you're probably end up with a underwater line. So for me, tonight's the night for the Canadians. They're going to win. Tampa Bay is a much different team on the road than they are at home. I'm taking the Canadians as my plus line for 114, and Sean says he won't even touch it. So,
yeah, I got a couple bets that it kind of favors me if Tampa wins. So, no point of, like we talked about yesterday, no point of compounding it, and trying to get them again. So, chasing
good money with bad or bad money with good, or just dumping more money in the water, throwing it in the garbage can. All right, so let's move on to Major League Baseball. We got a lot of games on the card today. Let's see. Let's pull up the lines here. Close out my email. Nobody needs to see all the crazy junk mail that I get, right? So the first game on the card here is, I got to pull up the screen, is San Diego versus Philadelphia. I know yesterday, you before we talked to you, you like San Diego against Cincinnati. San Diego, I think they'd win that game as a plus line.
No.
They lost?
They lost. No. Melicon blew the save in the ninth, and they ended up losing.
Well, today they're a plus line against the Phillies in Philadelphia. They're plus 110 or 108, somewhere through there. Well, it opened at 110, so they're plus 105, minus 102, depending upon where you look. What do you like in this game, or do you not have any action here?
I like the Phillies. Wheeler, 3 of the last 4 starts, gave up 0 earned runs. And then the pitcher for the Padres, Paddock, he had his worst start last time, gave up 5 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. Phillies are 22-15 at home, and the Padres are just 19-19 on the road.
So is that an official play for you, or that's just some stats for people that you want?
That's just some stats. I'm not going to make that an official play, but I do like the Phillies in this one.
Yeah, I think if I were going to go anyway here too, it would be Philadelphia as well. Although San Diego does have a little bit, they play a little bit better on the road than Philadelphia plays at home, adjusted for playing home and away. So even though San Diego only wins half of their games on the road, and Philadelphia wins close to 60% at home, but still, when you adjust for home away differential and home field advantage, it gives San Diego a slight edge on the road. I'm going to pass on that game as well. Then the next game is the really hot Milwaukee Brewers against the not so hot Pittsburgh Pirates. This game is a pretty heavily favored. Opened up plus minus 155 for Milwaukee, but the lines moved hard into Pittsburgh's favor.
Yeah, that's kind of odd. I mean, the starting pitching's kind of even. Maybe Pittsburgh's got, they got the guy with the lower ERA, but Milwaukee's won 9 in a row. Pittsburgh's lost 4 in a row. So if you get a good line, ride the train and go Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, minus 114. I'm going to pass on this game too, although it's a game that Milwaukee probably should win. But that line,
they're winning by more than one.
Yeah, well, that line movement's a little bit scary, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, sometimes you read too much into it. Sometimes, like I said, the only reason I didn't jump all over it was I know the starting pitching's kind of even tonight. Mm-hmm. Maybe Pittsburgh's got the better pitcher going. So that's kind of scary as far as winning by 2 runs.
Yeah, and looking at the money right now, it's about 60-40, the money in favor of Milwaukee. The bets aren't much different, so it seems like that line's about right. The so-called sharps aren't really picking a side. They're along the ride with the public as well. So then we're looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Washington Nationals. Yes, I almost had an old man moment right there. I mean, I have a lot of them, but you got Max Scherzer on the mound, and you're catching a plus line against the LA Dodgers. I know yesterday you said the Dodgers are getting healthy. I mentioned 3 games where the home team was catching a plus line. The Braves won. Cincinnati, no, it wasn't Cincinnati. The Braves won, the Nationals lost, and Colorado won. So 2 out of 3 actually at home. Here you have another plus line with one of the top pitchers in the league on the mound in Scherzer. Do you think the healthy Dodgers are enough, or the Scherzer getting a plus line?
Yeah, I would lean towards, again, not an official play. I'd lean towards the Dodgers. Healthy, won 6 in a row, and they're just going to start rolling. Remember, before the year, they had this ridiculous win-loss over and under, and that kind of fell apart with the injuries. But now they are who we thought they were going to be.
So they went Dennis Green on us.
Yeah.
They are who we thought they are. Yes, indeed. All right, so that brings us to the Battle of the Big Apple, the New York Mets versus the New York Yankees. Do you got anything in the Battle of the Big Apple?
No, I mean, I might trust the Mets a little bit more than the Yankees, but neither one of these teams can be trusted as far with my money. I'm not touching either one of these.
Well, that's good, because this is the second. No, I'm not touching it of yours today that I'm actually going to be on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and take the New York Yankees. It is an official bet for me. The Mets are 8-13 against left-handed pitching, 17-25 on the road, so they're underwater in both ways. Tijon Walker is 4-0 at home, has a 1.52 ERA. 2-3 on the road. The ERA doubles to very respectable 3.32. Jordan Montgomery, the starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, 2-1 at home with an ERA of 2.61. So I expect this to be a low game. Maybe even the total makes sense to go under here. Under in baseball is just totals to me in baseball are crazy. When you look at the Mets, they're number 13 in terms of batting average on the road, number 20 in batting average on the road, number 17 in homers on the road. Their offense is not the best on the road. Yankees at home, they don't have the best average at home. They're middle of the pack, but they do hit a lot of home runs at home. So I expect the Yankees to catch a home run here or there. That'll be the difference. And the Yankees beat the Mets in the Battle of the Big Apple. And you won't touch it.
No, I'm not touching it. As a matter of fact, the other night I went to bed and the Angels were trailing the Yankees. I woke up and my account was a little higher, and it's because the Angels came back and won. The Yankees just aren't the Yankees right now.
Yeah, well, they do have a pretty good bullpen. The Yankees have the number 5 bullpen by ERA, and the Mets are number 13. So the Mets, it's not the best ERA in terms of they're middle of the road. Their bullpen's not killing them, and it's not helping them. It's right there. Tampa Bay and Toronto. You have the home team. Toronto is a -125 against the Tampa Bay team that doesn't get any fans.
I would lean on non-official play. I would lean towards Tampa here. They're 24-18 on the road, and Toronto 17-19 at home. And Tampa just seems to be playing better than Toronto right now.
Yeah, I think if I were going to pick any side on that, I would go with Tampa as well, catching a plus line. They have a slight advantage both in terms of the power ranking, and it's a 50-50 game in terms of the run line differential. So it's essentially a 50-50 game, and you're getting a plus line with Tampa. That means the value is with Tampa, but Vegas seems to want you to bet Tampa. So Vegas is trying to entice me to take Tampa with a value in the line. Makes me wonder if they really think that Toronto's going to pull this one out.
Another thing I found, and it's very minute, it's only like 0 for 8 or 0 for 9, but the pitcher for Tampa Bay, Patino, did face the Blue Jays already, and they're like 0 for 8 or 0 for 9 against him the first time through. So,
okay. So now we're going to move on to the Chicago Cubs playing the Cincinnati Reds. Who do you like there?
This will be an official play. I believe it's a plus line, minus a run and a half for Cincinnati. They're 20-20 at home. The Cubs are 16-26 on the road, and the Cubs have lost 6 in a row. The other thing I found is the Cubs are 11 for 89 against the Reds starting pitcher, Sonny Gray, for a 123 average. So they do not fare well. And if you look at that, that's not like some backup neither. Like the Chris Bryants of the world and stuff like that are struggling against him. So I'm going to go the Reds giving up a run and a half.
Going to go the Reds giving up a 1.5. So I actually have the Cubs. This is a game I was looking at. I actually think it might even be a run line potential for your side of the game, because the Cubs are 10 games under 500 on the road. Their offense is terrible on the road, whereas Cincinnati has one of the most powerful offenses on the road. The only thing that makes me a little bit hesitant is Sonny Gray is a really good pitcher, like you mentioned, but the one thing that he does struggle with sometimes is giving up the home run. So if he gives up solo home runs, it's not that bad. But if the Cubs are able to get some people on base, Sonny Gray gives up a home run, that could kill the run line. But I do think that the offense versus home offense versus the away offense differential heavily favors the Cincinnati Reds. So that's a run line potential in my opinion. So now we're going to go with the next game on the board, and that is the Houston Astros versus the Cleveland Indians.
So this isn't an official play, but I would probably go Houston. But I have some bad taste in my mouth with them against Baltimore when they got swept. But Houston's the better team and definitely has the better starting pitcher going tonight with McCullers over Cleveland's Henches. So,
yeah, like we said yesterday, I feel like Cleveland might have a little bit. They have a really solid pitching staff, so maybe at home their pitching staff has a little bit of an edge. But Houston has clearly the much better offense. I feel like if I was going to mess with this game, I might go with the total, the under. But it's not a game that I am at all interested in playing. Houston right now I think is like minus 186 or something along those lines, minus 166. Well, the line was minus 170, so action is moving towards Cleveland. But I know minus 166 on the road, it's too much for me. Sounds like we have a new fan.
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, it's always good to bring new
people
on.
He'll be our biggest fan,
Miami versus Atlanta. I was going to go against Miami yesterday against Philadelphia. Then this pitcher got sick, and then the game got rained out. So thankfully, I didn't have to go with that. The game opened up at plus 145 for Miami. That has really moved aggressively in their favor. They're only plus 103 now. Atlanta went from minus 155 to minus 113. Is this a game that interests you?
No, I'm very not trusting of either team. If I had to go, see, it's so hard because the Braves are starting to roll a little bit. Miami's got the better starting pitcher going tonight. This is one I would definitely, one of the top ones I would stay away from completely.
Yeah, I feel like right now the Braves are starting to find their groove, get back to the team that almost, whether they were out or so away, maybe a little bit of pitching depth away from probably representing the National League in the World Series last year. So I feel like that team is starting to reemerge. They're starting to hit. Their pitching is starting to get a little bit better. I think the Braves are set to primed to make a pretty good run. The Cardinals, this is an interesting game versus Colorado. You talk about a big differential. With Colorado, they're taking on about 40% of about 60% of the public bets, the number of wagers, but the Cardinals are getting 60% of the money. That's a real tough one there.
Yeah, and that's interesting. This is going to be my other official play. Like I said the other day, Colorado at home and they're not even technically a favorite. This is a toss-up game. But if we go toss-ups where they're a negative line or favorites, they have an unbelievable record. They are 14-5 and are 13-4 at home.
Yeah, that's crazy. Their home away splits.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And in those 17 games, they outscore their opponents 106-70. And then there's a bunch of stats. Cardinals have lost 12 of 14 on the road. Colorado's won 15 of 18 at home against a team with a losing record, which the Cardinals have. They're 2 games under 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if you take out the 3-game sweep that the Cardinals just had of Arizona, they're 2-9 in their last 11 games. So they're not playing very well. So the Cardinals aren't playing well. Colorado is. Colorado does really well at home. Cardinals don't do so well on the road. There's a lot pointing to I love Colorado here.
Love Colorado, although the sharp money does not. They love the St. Louis squad. The Twins and the Royals, it's another game that's kind of like that. The Royals have the majority, about 60-40 split on the bets, but it's exactly the opposite in terms of the money. The Twins have taken on about 60% of the money. So another game where the public is on one side and the smart money is on the other, and I'm not taking a side on either one of these two teams.
No, I don't trust it. Maybe looking at the pitching matchup, maybe I don't know what the over-under is set at, but maybe you could go the over, but I wouldn't touch that either.
Well, the thing is, Kansas City does have a much better run differential than at home than Minnesota does on the road. But I feel too like Minnesota is one of those teams that maybe overperformed a little bit last year in the weird 2020 COVID baseball season. But it looks to me like it was to start 2021 that they've been an underperformer, a disappointment. I suspect that this is a team that's starting to find their way again, and they could have a pretty good second half of the year. That brings us to the Orioles and the Angels, which is a game that, I mean, Baltimore has got, I think, the worst run differential, and it seems to get worse by the day.
Yeah, and the Angels are starting to be one of those teams. They're starting to roll a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely lean towards the Angels here. I'm not going to make it an official play. I got my 2 official plays, but this would be a strong one that you could use.
Yeah, I can't take the Los Angeles Angels minus 180, minus 175, wherever they are. To me, they're not a team that is going to beat – they probably would beat the Baltimore 2 out of 3, but I don't trust them to win 65% of their games whatsoever at all. I like this matchup tonight in terms of games. I mean, it's a matchup, a potential playoff matchup. The Boston Red Sox and the Oakland Athletics. Oakland is home, catching a plus line. The Bay Area teams kind of – whacked me pretty good yesterday. So I'm a little bit worried about the Red Sox and the Athletics here, but the betting public and the smart money is heavily tilted towards the away team.
Well, if Oakland's a plus line, it might be interesting to take Oakland. I'm staying away from it, but if I had to pick a side, I probably would go Oakland with the plus line.
Well, the Red Sox have been a really strong road team. They win about 63% of their games away from home, away from Fenway. So, and it seems to me like the Athletics are struggling a little bit right now. I know that, they kind of go through these streaks. They did it last year too. They're doing it this year where they have really difficult time scoring runs. And when you can't score runs in baseball, it makes it very difficult to win. So I think that they could struggle. Plus 105 is Vegas telling you to take Athletics. If Vegas wants you to play one side, man, you should always run to the other side if you're going to play the game. I'm not going to do it. I'm skipping that one. Any taste for the round 2 between the Giants and the Diamondbacks?
No, because one, the Giants are struggling. We got burned. Also, the pitcher Diamondbacks got going tonight. Zach Gallen's been pretty good. ERA under 4. Alex Wood's going for the Giants. He's been pretty good. Maybe if you want to touch anything, maybe look at the under, but I'm staying away.
I think the Giants are a solid play, and the Alex Wood is a left-hander, and I believe the Diamondbacks are something like 4-13 or 4-16. They're 4 and I know they have 4 wins in about 20 games against left-handed pitching. They can't hit left-handed pitching apparently. And I do agree with you. Zach Eflin is a good pitcher, but he's better on the road than he is at home. His ERA is higher in Arizona than it is anywhere else. So maybe he wants out of there. If I were going to play a side of this game, the Giants are a team I would consider run lining. About 85 cents out of every dollar has been bet on the Giants, but it was the same way like that yesterday. So that does concern me a little bit because, as we mentioned at the get-go, San Francisco's lost a bunch in a row, and they're even losing to Arizona, who I think lost every game they played this year.
Yeah, and the other thing you learn too is, like I mentioned before about the Houston-Baltimore series, Baltimore beat them good the first game. They were still heavily favored the second game. Baltimore beat them soundly again. And in the third game, they were still minus 300. So sometimes the public don't adjust. They just expect the better team to win all the time, and that's just not the case. So
I think the better team should win most of the time.
You should, but that should word burns us a lot. So I would wait to see. I wouldn't want to die with San Francisco again.
Well, the game between Texas and the Mariners wraps up the MLB schedule. And this game opened up as basically a pick-em. Both teams were minus 105. The line has moved 10 points away from Texas and towards Seattle. Seattle's now minus 115. The Rangers are plus 106. So if you like the Rangers earlier in the day, you certainly got to like them now. The public is completely split on this, 50-50, with slightly more money on the Mariners. The Mariners clearly are the better home team than the Rangers are a road team. I wonder why it's only a 50-50 play.
That's because Texas is starting pitcher tonight. Gibson, 6-0 with an ERA of 2. So actually, this was one of those plays. Personally, I'm taking Texas, but I'm not putting it as an official play. But there's another one outside like the Angels that I would consider doing. Yes.
Yeah, I have a hard time trusting Texas in anything, even with their number one star ace pitcher pitching. So the team is just not good. At least not yet. They need more good, solid pitching.
Yeah, but they are. Kyle Gibson is 6-0, so he's not going to lose it for him. So if he can go out and
he can't win them all.
Yeah, well, if he's not going to lose it, maybe he can give them 7 strong innings. They can go up and win from there.
And then hold on. So just to wrap it up, I had the Canadians plus 114, and I took the New York Yankees at home on the straight up money line. I think they're like minus 155. Sean, who'd you pick again?
I took the Reds minus 1.5 versus the Cubs. They're, I think, maybe plus 110 on that. And then I took Colorado. They're like minus 110 at home against St. Louis.
All right, fantastic. Well, hopefully both of us can start to work our way out from underneath that hole we've dug to start our Moneyline Madman careers. We definitely have to get to the plus line for ourselves there. In terms of following us, Sean, people want to like us, make sure you hit the subscribe button down there because we'll be here every day. Our schedule is going to be Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern time. And then Saturday, Sean's making me get up stupid early to get started at 8 o'clock Eastern, right?
8 o'clock Eastern. Yep.
And then Sundays we're taking off to the NFL season, and then we'll be up. Probably Sean's gonna make me get up even earlier for that. Which I'm gonna have to when I come across him, give him waking me up that early. Old men need their sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm getting old too, so I don't get much sleep though. 3.5-year-old, I got to get up at that time anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't really get much sleep around here either. It's terrible. People don't let me sleep. All right, Sean. So Moneyline Madman on Twitter, on Facebook, right?
Yep, and on YouTube, like they're watching now, or if they're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe, like you said.
Yeah, make sure you tell your friends about us. Help us grow. Shortly, we're going to have the Moneyline Madmen website up. It's going to be an awesome community for sports bettors, people like line minds, as I call it, because we're all thinking about the line. And tomorrow, if you're at Horse Racing Radar, our sponsor, they got a contest. I'll be analyzing every race at Delaware Park. Make sure you head over and check that out at Horse Racing Radar. It's a $100 contest, free to enter. There's no catch. You win. The money gets deposited in your account like that. And then yesterday we had a great guest on with Sophia Doyle. Make sure you go check out that podcast over at Horse Racing Radar or the video on YouTube at Horse Racing Radar as well.
Yeah, and I'll say amateurs will learn a lot for that show too. If you don't know nothing about horses and you want to find out more, when we have jockeys and trainers on and stuff, they give a lot of insights and stuff that you can really learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully it'll help you cash a few more tickets, right?
Yes, that's the overall plan. Right like the show, we may not, even if we don't hit, we're going to give out valuable information, and everybody's got to work together. The book's always got the advantage, so take a little bit from Rich, take a little bit from me, take a little bit from yourself, put it together, and we can win together.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. One of the things I said about the podcast with the jockeys and trainers is that I've learned so much from people on the inside, and I know one of the things we'll be doing, because Sean is excellent at this, is we'll start bringing some guests on pretty soon, and these guests will be able to provide us with some valuable inside insights as well. Until tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, everybody, good luck at the window.